At this time, I'd like to remind you that I am not your financial advisor, and this is not financial advice. My YouTube channel is for entertainment purposes only and to document my journey in the crypto space. I encourage you to pause the video at this time to read the full disclaimer. And now let's get on with the show. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Crypto Wave. Been a while since I've done a video. Gonna try and stay more consistent. I know I keep saying it, but it'll happen. What have we missed since the last one? Well, I'm still in some dapps, changing things up a little bit. The biggest thing, obviously, is Bitcoin. Check this bad boy out. It actually broke 11,000 and then came back down again. So you probably see a lot of things about Bitcoin and how high is it going to go and this kind of stuff, as well as altcoins. What are altcoins? It's everything, basically, they consider everything other than Bitcoin and altcoins. So basically from Ethereum all the way down through all of the 2,279 coins that are currently listed on CoinMarketCap. There's actually more, they're just not listed. Those are the altcoins. So take it from me, I've actually been in the Bitcoin and crypto space for many, many years. Back in the beginning, I used to mine it. I mined it on my laptop. Then I bought some little USB miners. Then I moved into these little jalapeno miners. And then we went into, the larger ant miners. I mean, I've been in this for a while. And what did I learn from all this? So when you look at the Bitcoin price chart, when I got in back in, I think it was 2015, if I remember when I got into it. Actually, it might have been before that. It was doing this back here, which is I had quite a few Bitcoin that I had mined, and I got in, it was about 800, if I remember right. Now this is just going off of my memory. It's about $800 of Bitcoin, and I thought, holy cow. And what it ended up doing, it spiked all the way up to about 1,200 or so. It's not showing on here. And so I sold. I mean, for crying out loud. I mean, I was making profit. And good thing I sold, because it tanked all the way back down again below what I bought it for. So it came all the way back down again, and then it started spiking up again. And what did I do? I FOMO'd in. I said, holy cow, I wish I didn't sell my Bitcoin. I was still mining and still trying to accumulate it. So I ended up buying more again. And what ended up happening with that is it ended up shooting up to about 12,000, or I'm sorry, 1,200, give or take. I said, you know what? I learned from my mistakes. I'm going to hold on to it. It kept going up, got up to about 3,800, and I sold it again. Why would somebody not sell? And as much as many people like to say, oh my gosh, I would hold it forever, and I'd hodl and hodl and hodl. It's very difficult, especially since when I was in this very, very in the beginning, you had no idea. Like, I knew the potential, but you had no idea it was going to go up here. I mean, come on. I mean, anybody who invests, $1,000 into a coin ended up getting like 2-3x what you put into it. You're going to sell it and take those profits, which is what I did. And I actually bought some altcoins as well. So fast forward again, you start getting into the ICOs and things like that. And again, I don't want to say I FOMO'd in, but Bitcoin started taking off again. As Bitcoin took off, I would sell some of it and buy altcoins. However, I wish I didn't get into as many ICOs as I did, because again, you FOMO, and everybody, especially in the crypto space, wants that quick buck. Had I just held on to all the coins I had way back here and just held on to them, believing my gut, believing me, knowing that this was going to be revolutionary, then I think I had at one point, I want to say 38 Bitcoin or something like that. Can you imagine if I would just flipping held on to that up until this point? And even so, now let's say it got over to here and I still didn't sell. Now look at fear. It all comes down. Guaranteed. And don't act like you're immune to this. So many people sold. And now what's happening? It's starting to come back up again, and everybody's going to start buying it again. Now, since I purchased back here, before this 20,000, I've actually been holding. Unfortunately, I don't even have one Bitcoin. I sold 99% of my Bitcoin, buying alts and selling it and taking profit. So since back here, I've been slowly but surely purchasing little Bitcoin here and there, $50 here, $50 there, and putting it into my ledger, my cold storage wallet, and I don't touch it. I don't know how much is in there. I don't care how much is in there. I don't keep track of it. What I do know is that I have certain things that as I accumulate Bitcoin, it goes to that wallet and I never touch it. So I have no idea. I know I don't have 1 Bitcoin, but I could be getting close. I have no idea. But the fact of the matter is, and take it from me, someone who is in it back here and sold and then bought and then sold and then bought and then sold and then bought and then sold. And now here we are, because if you are a firm believer in it, stick with it, hold on to it. If you truly believe this is going to be revolutionary, which I do, hold on to it. Accumulate whatever Bitcoin you can. Now, if you want to sell some of it and get into the alternate coins, the altcoins, absolutely. I have all kinds of altcoins. Coins that I feel like are serving a purpose in the market, Ethereum being one of them. Say what you will, I know its transaction speed is questionable, and you got all these other fancy ones that are doing transaction speeds that are crazy fast. Ethereum was the first. It's one of the strongest. It's got the most smart contracts. It's got the most people programming on it. And now you're starting to see a ton of other things coming out, such as the STOs, or the security token offerings, that are going to be huge. In my opinion, they're going to be huge. They're starting to build on the Ethereum. Now, some of them are creating their own platforms, but the majority are starting to use Ethereum. XRP, still, I realize this is controversy. Some people like it, some people hate it. It's basically the banker's coin. They're saying it's not a true blockchain, and yet, and whether that is or it isn't, I don't care. My thought is it's number 3. Very, very brief period of time, it was actually number 2. But it's number 3. It's huge. It's got a ton of circulating supply. It's got a ton of transactions. There's a lot of believers out there and a lot of people that use it. Litecoin, second coin came around. It was Bitcoin Silver. Bitcoin, they used to call Bitcoin Gold, and Litecoin was the silver to Bitcoin's gold. That one's still hanging in there. And so on and so forth going down. Binance Coin, you can't think of a better project that's utilizing their token more sufficiently, that this thing just keeps on coming up. I bought one of these at about $10, sold it at 15, bought it back at 20, sold it at 25, and so on and so forth. Because again, there's always that fear that it's going to be a coin that craps out, because there's a ton of them that do. Now, I'm not saying Binance Coin is going to last forever, but I'm going to tell you right now, I've learned my lesson with this one also. Money that I'm willing to lose, I purchase Binance Coin. I'm holding on to it. I'm going to let this thing keep riding as high as it wants to ride, and so on and so forth. So what am I trying to tell you is, and this is just a humble opinion, this is not investment advice, obviously, but this is just the beginning. Just the beginning. Anybody who hasn't done their research on Bitcoin, hopefully you have at this point, there's only going to be 21 million Bitcoin. What does that do? That puts a finite supply. There's a finite supply of Bitcoin. Now let's imagine that 21 million Bitcoin, all of these things that we're hoping are going to happen, mainstream adoption, institutional money, security offerings, people being able to put Bitcoin in their 401k, which has actually already started. This is what I feel is causing this drive up. For instance, the backed exchange that's going to be coming. It's going to backed is, if nobody knows, it's an exchange that they're trying to open up that's actually going to be, it's being opened by the same people who own the New York Stock Exchange. This is the same thing, the EFTs that are trying to do, all these EFT trading funds that keep getting denied by the SEC. Well, Backed is creating an EFT that, and I'm almost positive that one is going to be approved by the SEC. And the only reason I say is because they already run the New York Stock Exchange, so they know how to do government compliance, etc. The interesting thing about Backed is I think the way they're going to achieve that is by having physically backed, which I'm assuming that's where they're coming up with the term backed. They're going to physically backed assets in Bitcoin. What does that mean? They have to purchase Bitcoins in order to back those funds that they're going to be trading with through EFTs. So what do they want to do? They want to buy as much Bitcoin as they can in anticipation. They want to buy it on the dips and hold it, thus decreasing the circulating supply. Now here again, here's your 21 million BTC supply maximum. Currently there's 17 million. So the other thing that happens, which if you haven't looked into yet, is called the halvening. So now you have, as these companies are coming online, they're going to start purchasing Bitcoin and holding on to it. 1, because it's a good investment. 2, because it's the only one of these coins, in my opinion, that's going to be that can absorb institutional money coming in. If somebody comes in and says, I would like to buy 10 million worth of Bitcoin, that will put a little ding in this value, this 192 billion. However, imagine if somebody comes in and says, oh, I want to buy, oh, NEO looks pretty good. I want to buy, 20 million of NEO. 20 million on this 1 billion market cap is going to hit a lot harder than 20 million on this 192 billion market cap. Needless to say, it's also the easiest on-ramp. There's so many on-ramps now that get into Bitcoin. There's not a ton of on-ramps to get into these other coins. So people are going to be using Bitcoin, including institutional monies, banks, Wall Street, all these things that we're hoping is going to happen in the coming years. I think this is the avenue that they're going to be coming in under, this Bitcoin. They're going to be coming in under this because it, one, can absorb the most amount of money coming in, and two, it's going to give the biggest return of value, and it's also the most stable and secure. It's the original. So couple that, Wall Street, absorption of institutional money in connection with backed and other entities that are trying to do securities and Wall Street and investing that need to purchase and hold Bitcoin, decreasing this supply that's already going around. That's going to be the simple supply and demand. Now, last thing I want to mention about Bitcoin is the halvening. So anybody who hasn't researched Bitcoin yet, there's what's called the halvening. Every 4 years, the block reward, meaning the amount of Bitcoins that are produced per 10-minute block, gets cut in half. Currently, if I'm not mistaken, we're about 12.5 Bitcoin are released every 10 minutes as each block has been agreed upon, or when the block has been figured out by the miners of the world. Next year, that is going to be halving. So from 12.5 to 6.25 Bitcoin. So this is, again, is diminishing the amount of Bitcoin that's going to be released to the public or released to the network. Sorry, I got interrupted there. So the halvening. So it's going to drop from 12.5 to 6.25, thus decreasing the amount of coins that are going to be released to the public as the blocks are being mined by the miners. Now, most people think, oh my gosh, the mining difficulty continues to go up, the reward keeps going down, miners are going to become insufficient, which they do. And in a way, it's actually driving, when the halvenings have happened in the past, some of the miners became obsolete. They just weren't generating enough Bitcoin to be worth running. So that's when these big manufacturers and these big mining companies came out with these huge miners now that were doing, like the first miners I had was a USB that did 333 mega hash mining. That's just a trickle in the bucket at this point, where the miners now that they're creating, like the new S17 miner, for instance, this one I've told you about, this Ox BTC now has the S17. Where is it? Here we go. BTC S17. I mean, these things run insanely high amounts of terahash and more energy efficient. So yes, it starts eliminating some of the obsolete miners, but it also drives innovation to mine more efficiently as well. What has typically happened in the past is when that mining reward happens, you kind of get initially, you get this dip. And again, this is not a financial advice. This is just what I've seen since I've been in this market, being a former miner myself. You initially see these kinds of dips, and I don't remember the exact date, but what ends up happening is because it dips because the amount of rewards are being released, but now it's becoming a more scarce commodity, driving the price up. So yes, the miners become less efficient, obsolete, get eliminated. The overall network mining power typically dips a little bit. Better innovation of miners comes out. Scarcity continues to increase, driving the price up even further. So now your miners are going to start making profit again, simply because the coin itself is worth more. So imagine right now, if you're mining and you're getting, we'll say, 1 Bitcoin a month. That's exaggerating big time. But let's say you get 1 Bitcoin a month by mining, and the mining now is cut in half at the halvening, so now you're getting 0.5 Bitcoin per month. So instead of getting at the current rate of $10,000 a month, you're getting $5,000 a month. Well, what ends up happening is this ends up driving up because of the scarcity, and so it starts getting up into the 15, 16, 20, 25,000 range. So now, yes, you're only getting half a Bitcoin, but that half a Bitcoin is now worth what this current value is. So you end up getting about 10,000. Anyway, hopefully that makes sense. Sorry if this video was kind of boring to some people. I know I usually do a lot of dapps and things like that. I will do another video on dapps coming soon because there's actually a really cool one that I'm getting involved in that's being worked on at the moment that I'll be more than happy to share with you. But I want this channel to be for not only beginners, but I want this to be for people who've been in the space a while. I would like to be an open forum that we can all talk about. If you have questions about mining, about Bitcoin, about the halvening, about blocks, about altcoins, you name it, just drop a line. Throw a question into the comments. I'll be more than happy to answer. I want this to be a channel that everybody from the newbie to the expert can have converse and share their ideas and share their opinions. So thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it, and everybody have a good one.